Some things are about life and death. Some things are that important. And we have something going on right now in this country. It's about life and death. You can't see it, but it is. We're going to talk about that tonight and other things on I'm Right. Military service is a funny thing. I can't speak for other nations, but it's something that tugs at men to this day, because I spent time in the Marine Corps. Certainly not an outstanding Marine by any means, but since I spent some time in the Marine Corps, that'll come up in various conversations. People will bring it up to me. Oh, you served. And if I ever ask back, oh, were you in? And they didn't. There's this thing that men do of, no, I didn't. This kind of feeling ashamed thing, which I always found to be odd. It's not certainly not for everybody. Serve or don't serve, it's fine. I mean, you should be proud to serve your country, but if you didn't, if you chose a new path, it's fine. But there's a tugging there at men. And I have always believed this and will always believe there's a tugging there in the hearts of men because men know they have an obligation to protect. On a macro level, they have an obligation to protect societies. On a smaller level, for the dudes listening to me now, I don't care how old-fashioned it sounds. I'm an offensive human being. You have an obligation to protect your woman, to protect your children. It's part of the reason you were made. And made specifically for that reason. Why do you think men and women look so differently? Why do you think your shoulders are bigger than hers, fellas? Your hips are stronger than hers, so are your legs. Getting to the insides, why do you think you have more lung capacity, more muscle mass than she does? You think that's so you can flex your biceps in front of the mirror? No, your body was built to protect. You are made to fight. In some way, shape, or form, you are made to fight if that fight is required. That's why men are physically built stronger than women. Why is any of that radical? I'm sure the phones will ring off the hook, the emails will ring off the hook. Why is any of that radical? And we are not a country like Israel, 8-9 million people surrounded by people who hate us, where we don't have the option of being selective. Let's get the women in there too. We are a gigantic country, over 300 million people, more than enough men to serve and protect this nation. So why, when it's about life and death, and that's what combat's about, why can't we focus on creating a military, exclusive military, wholly focused on killing bad people? That's the only thing the United States military needs to do. And I'll tell you something. When I said in the beginning it's about life and death, realize what that means. And I'm not trying to be too drastic here. The history of the world is nations ending and people dying when they end. You know that's what that looks like. Right now, you're an American. I'm an American, for my American viewers. We've only ever really known safety and security from enemy invasion in this country. I know about Pearl Harbor and 9/11, but you understand what I'm saying. You get that other parts of the world haven't lived like that, right? That invasion, takeover is a reality. Well, it's a reality for us too on a long enough timeline. On a long enough timeline, bad guys are coming here to kill us. They are. Are you going to be ready? As a nation, not you personally, is your nation going to be ready when they get to our door? You can argue all day long what kind of genders we should have in the sociology department of your local whack job university. When it comes time to the people when it comes time to discuss the people defending the United States of America, you had better pick the biggest, strongest, fastest, smartest people out there, period. End of story. This controversy over women in the military, diversity in the military, is no controversy at all. All you have to do is, what was that phrase? I've been told this phrase about 1,000 times in the last year. What was that phrase? It starts with an F. It's almost here. Follow the science. all I have to do is follow the science, and I'll figure out who the frontline combat troops should be and who they shouldn't be. This is about life and death. Probably not today, Lord willing, not tomorrow, but on a long enough timeline, the strength of your military is very much about life and death. What do we get? We get speeches from Joe Biden about making the military uniforms more pregnancy-friendly. We have specialized armor now to more suit the female body, which I guess you can make an argument for that, but why is this something we're bragging about? The United States of America's president brags about these things because half this country is so dedicated now to cultural Marxism, that's all they see. That's how they see the world now. New ways they can virtue signal to this gender or this race or this religion. Look what we're doing here. It doesn't even occur to them now to step up to the microphone and tell America's enemies, look how deadly our military is. Don't even try it. And so the great Tucker Carlson, I know you've seen me on his show a bunch. He went on, he had a couple things to say.
So we've got new hairstyles and maternity flight suits. Pregnant women are going to fight our wars. It's a mockery of the U.S. military. While China's military becomes more masculine as it's assembled the world's largest navy, our military needs to become, as Joe Biden says, more feminine, whatever feminine means anymore, since men and women no longer exist. The bottom line is it's out of control, and the Pentagon's going along with this. Again, this is a mockery of the U.S. military and its core mission, which is winning wars.
Of course, all that's a fact. All that is a fact. And remember that bad guys coming to your shores? No, I don't think there's a Chinese fleet on the high seas as we speak, sailing its way towards California for a surprise attack on Los Angeles. Nor do I think they'd stay if I actually got to Los Angeles, but that's another story entirely. But one day that fleet is coming. One day it is. They're having these idiotic cultural Marxist social games now at the expense of lives in the future. This stuff gets people killed. And not to get too graphic about it, but I have to say this. You know, combat deaths are ugly, right? I mean, you all get that. You've seen enough movies. Maybe you've personally been in combat yourself. You've seen what mangled bodies look like on the ground. It's hard enough when you see your brave boys over there. And we've already lost women in combat. It's terrible, and they're heroes just like everybody else. You understand how much more horrible that is if it's a bunch of our women? What that does to the psyche of a nation? Think. And so Tucker Carlson goes on TV and he says that. That's one thing. Maybe you disagree with him. I personally agree very much. Maybe you disagree. That's fine. The response has been unbelievable. What has happened with the highest ranks of our military? Here's a senior enlisted man, a command sergeant major, posting up a long internet video about this is the women are the best. Tucker Carlson, you're so stupid. I love these women. Look at me, I'm a bodybuilder, but they're still strong. That's a command sergeant major putting workout selfies up of himself online in defense of women in combat. This is, well, here it is.
Drama TV. Ladies and gentlemen, that's what I call it. I'll apologize up front and tell you that I don't have cable news at home. I don't have it here in the office, and I don't watch a lot of drama TV. I understand some comments were made yesterday, and I watched the clip that Mr. Carlson produced as he referred to pregnant women in the military. I'll remind everyone that his opinion, which he has a right to, is based off of actually 0 days of service in the armed forces. The bottom line is that we value women in our armed forces. We value those that have served in the past, and we value those that have served today. We value our families in the military. Let's remember that those opinions were made by an individual who has never served a day in his life. Let's remember that's all about drama TV. God bless America. Semper Fidelis.
Semper Fidelis. Does that sound like a command sergeant major who's focused on things? Does it sound like it? We have the Marine Expeditionary Force. That's what MEF stands for. This is a verified, official military count for the Marine Expeditionary Force. That is, yes, that's right. That's your United States Marines who you throw on a boat and you send them overseas to be the tip of the spear. Quote, what it looks like today in today's armed forces, Tucker Carlson. Get it right before you get left, boomer. Then some guy, appropriately, some guy by the name of Scott Malkinson responds, please focus on China and not Tucker Carlson, to which it gets back on the official response of the United States Marine Corps and says, hey, Tucker Carlson, this is my squad and they're Army strong. You'd be lucky to meet them. That's from General Funk. These are official accounts. These are generals. These are command sergeant majors. This is the Marine Expeditionary Forces. This is an infection. And I just want to be clear about this. The United States Marine Corps, the United States Army, the United States Air Force, Navy, they receive criticism about being too feminine, too feminized. And again, I don't care if that word offends you. You receive criticism about being too feminized, and your response to it is 3 days worth of social media videos and pictures about how offended you are? Should the United States military wade into this at all? What would the response have been if there were a bunch of generals and command sergeant majors blasting away at Don Lemon about something stupid he said? What are we doing? And Ted Cruz, God bless him, he wrote SecDef Lloyd Austin, quote, this spectacle risks politicizing the military after several centuries of efforts to keep the military officials out of domestic affairs, undermining civil-military relations by having the military take a side in a contentious cultural dispute, and the perception that military leaders are happily weaponizing the institution against political critics of the sitting administration. This kind of behavior, while perhaps typical in military-controlled third-world country, is completely unacceptable in the United States of America. Thank you, Senator, once again. And remember this. I don't care what your daddy told you, what your mommy told you, what your social studies teacher told you. I don't care. Men and women are different. They're built different. In fact, whatever you've been told your whole life, whether you're a man, woman, black, white, Latino, Asian, Jew, Gentile, Christian, Muslim, whatever else you happen to be, you're not equal. Because nobody's equal. One person is not equal to the next. Human beings are built differently for different things. My oldest son can take a box of Legos and sit down and probably build you a functioning automobile within an hour. I couldn't attach two of them together. We're not equal at all. Men and women are different. Test score after test score after test score after test score tells you they're different. Oh, how are we going to meet the next threat of China? Well, they're thinking about dumping the new physical fitness test in the U.S. Army. Why? 10% of the men are failing. 65% of the women are failing. That's right. If too many women are failing, well, we just need to find a new test, right? That's the solution. Remember what I told you. This ends with people dying. Just because it's not tomorrow doesn't mean you and I should care any less. This ends with people dying, potentially a lot of people dying. All that may have made you uncomfortable, but I'm right. Now, there are a lot of great organizations out there who are helping our veterans. There are. I love Warrior's Heart. Warrior's Heart, they just step up and fill the void our veterans need. They deal with PTSD. They deal with alcohol addiction. I know we struggle with that, men and women who've been in combat. Look, I have. When I got back, substance abuse. Don't be ashamed of that either. You should only be ashamed if you're not willing to get help. Go get some help. Suicide hotline. Warrior's Heart is here for you. We're talking peer-to-peer, inpatient, outpatient. They have so many different options to meet you wherever you are and pull you out of the darkness. And I've been there in my blacked out apartment with no lights or TV on, drinking beer by myself. I've been there. Find some help. Go to warriorsheart.com/thefirst. That's warriorsheart.com the first, or call. They're there all the time. 866-950-0636. That's 866-950-0636. You don't have anything to be ashamed of unless you're unwilling to reach out and get some help. We'll be back. You understand that this is a free country, right? I know you're rolling your eyes right now. Of course I understand. And when I say you, I'm kind of pointing to everybody. I know you personally watching this show probably understand that very well, but I really do think this is lost on far too many Americans now. A free country. What that actually means. People think freedom is just a word. Or it's the 4th of July. I'm going to have some hot dogs and some fireworks. Woohoo! Freedom means the government can't tell you what to do. It's not more complicated than that. Now, obviously, that your societies are going to have laws and such, but our federal government especially is limited. Our president, servant of the people. Now, 2 terms and you're gone. And yet, there seems to be, because of coronavirus, or maybe this happened before coronavirus and that was just the great revealer, there seems to be this infection in the mind of Americans now, where they don't understand these people have a place and it's not in charge of you. I watched it happen. Coronavirus comes out and go home. Close your business. Oh, you can open yours. You have to close though. Well, this guy's essential. Oh, sorry, you're not essential. You can do this, you can do that. You're allowed to do this, but you're not allowed to do that. Mayors, governors, presidents. What? None of you are allowed to tell us these things. The government does not have the authority to point to this specific business and say, all of you close, but these businesses, all of you open. They don't have the authority to do that. And what I'm mad about is not just the last year. I'm not going to go over all that again, the financial destruction and what, I'm not going into that. What I'm mad about is what we told them. What did we tell them? Not you personally, but as collectively, as Americans, what did we tell them over the last year? Just scare us bad enough and you can do whatever you want to us. Okay, 15 days to slow the spread. I guess I'll go home. Will you let me know if I have to wear a mask? Can I open my business? Not yet? Okay, please don't hurt me. And they're licking their chops. And look, even some old buffoon like Biden, he thinks he's a king now.
I promise I will do everything in my power. I will not relent until we beat this virus. But I need you, the American people. I need you. I need every American to do their part. I need you to get vaccinated when it's your turn and when you can find an opportunity. And to help your family, your friends, your neighbors get vaccinated as well. Because here's the point. If we do all this, if we do our part, if we do this together, by July the 4th, there's a good chance you, your families and friends will be able to get together in your backyard or in your neighborhood and have a cookout or a barbecue and celebrate Independence Day. That doesn't mean large events with lots of people together, but it does mean small groups will be able to get together. After this long, hard year, that will make this Independence Day something truly special.
Didn't you hear that? You can get together and celebrate your freedom on July 4th if you do your part and do what Joe Biden tells you to do. Wait, what? Just do what you're told. If you don't do what you're told, you won't even be allowed to have those small groups. Do what you're told. Maybe we'll let you gather with family and friends this July 4th. No, not too many, maybe 10. We'll give you a number. Don't worry about that. It'll be based on science. But just do what you're told. Up yours. I got the whole neighborhood together, about 100 people last 4th of July. We're going to make it 200 this year. No president tells me what to do. But, we have to trust the science, and of course, trust our doctors.
You had the PSA with all the former presidents except one, President Trump, in there. Do you think he needs to be enlisted here at all to get his voters to take this vaccine?
Chuck, I hope he does, because the numbers that you gave are so disturbing, how such a large proportion of a certain group of people would not want to get vaccinated merely because of political consideration. It makes absolutely no sense. And I've been saying that for so long. We've got to dissociate political persuasion from what's common sense, no-brainer public health things. The history of vaccinology has rescued us from smallpox, from polio, from measles, from all of the other diseases. What is the problem here? This is a vaccine that is going to be life-saving for millions of people. How some groups would not want to do it for reasons that I just don't understand. I mean, I just can't comprehend what the reason for that is when you have a vaccine that's 94 to 95% effective, right, and it is very safe. I just don't get it.
You make your own call about what you do as far as vaccines go. It's not my job to tell you that. But I will tell you this. I'm not going to be lectured on common sense from somebody who completely reordered the Western world by telling everyone to stand 6 feet away from each other. I'm not going to be talked to like that from that human being. All right. Now, what is common sense is this. You have to quit dipping tobacco. I know. I'm not judging. I'm not pointing fingers. Had a dip in my lip for years and years and years. I'm not judging. But you got to quit. It's terrible for you. You know that. But I do not believe, and you shouldn't either, telling people things like, you got to quit, without giving solutions. That doesn't help somebody, especially someone who's addicted to something. I've been addicted to it. I needed help. I tried sunflower seeds. I tried gum. My jaw about fell off. Jake's Mint Chew. Jake's Mint Chew. It is tobacco-free, nicotine-free, it's even sugar-free, and it allows you to get something in your lip to transition you off of it. They have 11 different flavors of long cut and 4 different flavors of CBD pouches. If you're worried about that edge, which comes when you're quitting, Jake's Mint Chew works. And you don't have to feel guilty about walking around with something in your lip. Go to jakesmintchew.com. Use the promo code Jesse. That gets you 20% off. We'll be back.
And here's how it works. I'm going to raise taxes, and the way we pay for it is by rolling back unproductive tax cuts. Some of the $2 trillion tax cut the president put through.
Joe Biden and I are about to get rid of that tax bill.
That's why I'm going to eliminate the Trump tax cut. We're going to get rid of the god-awful $2 trillion tax cut that Trump passed. By eliminating just a few of the tax cuts, I'm going to eliminate mostly all of them, but a few of the tax cuts, no, you think I'm joking, I'm not. Know anything about me and taxes. But at any rate,
I can't help but laugh about Kamala Harris getting sprinkled in there. Man, that voice. Joining me now is Matt Locke of the Matt Locke Show. Matt, well, I'm looking at a headline. Biden eyes first major tax hike since 1993 and next economic plan. Looks like it's coming for us, brother.
Yeah, well, he said he was going to do it. And like President Trump, he's keeping his promises. So the left should be tickled, right?
Here's what blows me away, Matt. I mean, you're obviously a guy who pays attention to politics. You're read up on the news, but nothing Joe Biden has done so far has been surprising to anybody who pays even that much attention. Yet you're seeing so many people right now who hated Trump, Biden voters. I can't believe this. What's he doing? Where are you people? Where are you people during the campaign when they're out there every day telling you exactly what they believe?
Well, they're not paying attention, Jesse. That's what we're looking at today. You've got people so unplugged with reality today, and they're listening to the mainstream media, which isn't giving them the facts. It's telling them what they want to hear. And so these people are so disconnected with reality. They get their little sound bites from Twitter and Facebook and all of that. You know what's going on there. You're getting censored. I'm getting censored. The truth isn't getting put out there. They're attacking Tucker Carlson for saying that the military is not masculine enough. And we're just living in this vacuum, this space where people cannot get information. So they're shocked when they see that all of this is happening. Gas prices up, your taxes going up. I don't even know if Joe Biden understands that he's even behind this. I know he was just live on TV a little bit ago, but the guy is not coherent for one, but he's going to raise your taxes for two because you just can't give away $2 trillion without some kind of consequence.
I can't think of a worse time, especially for small businesses, to raise taxes. Matt, I don't want to be conspiracy theorist guy, but I can't help but think small businesses who overwhelmingly support Republicans, most of them were lined up against the wall and shot last year during the COVID restrictions. I can't help but feel like this is just trying to drive the final nail in the coffin and finish them off.
Jesse, I talked about it on my show today. It is. I mean, do you think the Romans knew that the empire was crashing? Do you think they knew it was coming down? We're in the middle of the Great Reset. We're in the middle of Democrats destroying the middle class, and you just hit on it. These poor small businesses, of which we lost 6 out of 10 through the pandemic that wasn't really a pandemic, but you couldn't go to work, you couldn't support your family, you couldn't put food on the table, and now you're going to raise the taxes because you and I both know, Jesse, that the rich aren't going to pay the taxes. They're going to go offshore to some account. They're going to move their business overseas. They're going to do what Apple does. They're going to hide their money. So this is trickle down taxes, not trickle down economics. It's going to go to the middle class, which are small businesses, entrepreneurs, the people that actually employ people in this country, and they're going to get hammered. This is like the last stake, nail in your coffin of small business.
Matt, you brought up the Tucker Carlson military thing. I actually opened up my show talking about it tonight. I'm blown away by, not that the military's been infected by this cultural Marxist crap. I've known this for a long time, and I know that it's only getting worse. I'm blown away they weren't at least smart enough to realize, just shut up. The response to being accused of being too feminized was 19,000 social media posts. Oh, look at my Instagram picture about how offended I am. That countries like China look at that stuff and they lick their chops.
Well, it's a national security threat. I mean, we're looking at a president who's a national security threat, doesn't know what he's doing, doesn't know where he's at. We're looking at a southern border that's a national security threat. And now we're looking at the woke military as a national security threat. And you've got China and all of our adversaries, Iran, Iraq, Russia. They must be laughing at us. Women in flight suits for pregnancy and on the front line. And, I said this on my show today. I love women. They're amazing. They do things that men can't do. But men go to war. Men go to war, they fight, they kill, and they break things, as Rush Limbaugh said. And that's what war is. And we're not doing war anymore, Jesse. We're playing footsie. We want to see how feminine we can be. We're going to get transgenders to pay for the reassignment surgery in the military because that's the right thing to do. And we've got generals and people in charge who are liberals. And I've told people before, when I was growing up as a child, my father and my grandfather both served in the Army. I did not serve. But you didn't know what their buddies' political affiliations were. They would come over and have a beer with my dad. I didn't know if they were a Democrat or a Republican because these were things you just did not do. And now here we are, the military out there being woke. It's the downfall of America. I can't say it any other way.
Matt, I've been arguing for a long time that they're going after these things like the military, like churches. They're infiltrating these things with all this cultural Marxist stuff on purpose. That we on the right sometimes think, this stinks, they're slowly taking over. I can't believe they stumbled into the military. They're going after the things you hold sacred specifically because you hold them sacred so they can destroy them.
Well, and they have to, and it's a plan. You're exactly right. They're going to take away Christianity. They're going to attack the church. They're not going to let you go sing. I mean, you can't go to church and sing. Don't take off your mask. Don't follow Jesus Christ if that's what you do. This is all a concerted effort to discourage you, to take you on, and to break you down. Throw the taxes on top, Jesse, and you've got just a combination of watching America dissolve as we sit here and watch the left take over with the woke culture. And then you've got the Grammys last night, where they can have stripper poles and all the stuff dancing around out there talking about crazy stuff.
Matt, I saw this whopper. The Washington Post retracts a massive story that falsely claimed Trump asked Georgia to, quote, find the votes. We all remember that massive lie they told. That's not how the conversation went at all. They actually issued a retraction. My question is this, and I'm not sure how I feel about it. Do we want these groups, these media groups, to be held financially liable for these things? You tell big lies like that, a retraction 2 months after the fact does nothing. How are we not able, how is somebody not able to drag the Washington Post into the courts and sue them into the Stone Age?
Well, Jesse, that's an interesting question, because if you'll remember, the left said that the insurrection was cited by that very conversation, that President Trump asked for more votes. They showed up on January 6th and they were all mad. Shouldn't someone be held accountable for the words that they said? I mean, you and I know there's a standard here. There's a standard. I triple check my sources. I make sure that when I'm doing my program, that I'm giving you the most accurate facts that I can get. But when you're outright blatantly changing the narrative to what you want it to be, somebody has to be held accountable.
Matt Locke of the Matt Locke Show. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Jesse. Always a pleasure.
I didn't even know what home title theft was. I'm not making that up. I've had plenty of you email me and tell you, hey, I signed up for home title lock. Thank you. I didn't even know what it was. Don't feel stupid. I didn't know what it was. And I've told you this story before. I get on my phone and I open up my email and I have my home title in there. Only it looks like I signed it and the wife signed it too. Wait, what? Did she sell the house behind my back? Your home title is online. It is online. They will hack into it. Apparently, this is the biggest cybercrime in the country, and they're wiping people out financially, destroying people, getting people evicted. They'll hack into it, forward your signature on it, go take a loan out against it. Your home insurance is not going to cover that. You're going to pay that loan back. Go get Home Title Lock. They detect any tampering and shut it down like that. HomeTitleLock.com. HomeTitleLock.com. When you're there, use the promo code RADIO. That actually gets you 30 days for free. We'll be back. Well, I guess sometimes things work out in the end. Maybe not. Get this. The Minneapolis City Council unanimously approves a $27 million settlement to go to the family of George Floyd. $500,000 will go to the 38th in Chicago area. I'm at a loss for words. Joining me now, former police officer and author of the book Beaten Black and Blue, Brandon Tatum. Brandon, how do you make an award like this before the trial of Derek Chauvin even starts?
Yeah, that speaks to me of the complicity of the city council in trying to bury Officer Chauvin. Now, I'm not saying that he's a good person. I don't know the man. I thought he made a mistake in the case against George Floyd, but you don't pay out $27 million to the family, which is to many people is an admission of guilt, and then expect you to get a fair jury selection. I mean, I don't understand how they couldn't just pick the jury. The trial could be going on, and they wait till after the trial to give a payout. Even if they knew they were going to pay out the family, they could have waited till after the trial to pay out. And because this is what they're setting themselves up for, is that if they paid out now and there's an acquittal of Officer Chauvin, the community is going to be even more confused that how in the world do you pay $27 million out and then you still acquit the officer that was involved? They are asking for the entire city to be burned down. They defunded the police. They pretty much ridiculed the police. And now they expect something positive to come from this. These people are incompetent. The woke culture, the progressive America is literally the devil when it comes to, American success.
Brandon, what am I supposed to think about the charges Derek Chauvin is facing? Look, I'm with you. I'm like everybody else. I realize we have the autopsy report with the fentanyl and stuff like that in George Floyd's system. That doesn't mean that was good police work, keeping your knee on somebody like that forever. But let's fast forward to the trial now. What are they charging him with versus what do you think it should be? How do you think this should be handled from what you know about it?
Well, it's very confusing. I saw that they had a second-degree murder. They just reintroduced third-degree murder and third-degree manslaughter. When you read those statutes, obviously in second-degree murder, there's an unintended murder. Most people view second-degree murder, or most statutes show second-degree murder as intentional murder without premeditation. But it's a second subsection. The second subsection of the statute in second-degree murder is unintentionally murder somebody while committing a felony crime. Now, we know that's not going to pass because they cannot point to a felony crime that was committed, because the chokehold or the knee on the neck maneuver is something that is trained on the police department by the Minneapolis Police Department. So that is not a felony act. Therefore, second-degree murder wouldn't be applicable. Manslaughter is the closest thing to it. But then they introduced third-degree murder. They're trying to do everything they can to put charges and convince a jury to get him on at least one of those beyond a reasonable doubt.
Okay, Brandon, you just said that's a trained move by the police department. I think that will be news to most of the people watching the show. Nobody watched that video and cheered. It was a terrible video. You say that's something they're training them for. You're a cop. You've been out there. Why?
We don't train the maneuver that I saw in the Minneapolis Police Department, but they train it. It's in their field training manual. If you look online, you can see actual pictures of it being performed. He was actually performing that maneuver while he was training new officers. Officer Chauvin was a field training officer. And so, the strategy behind the knee on the neck, and a lot of people may look at it and think that the pressure of his knee is actually on George Floyd's neck. That's not the way the maneuver is supposed to be administered. The pressure is on the back, or the pressure is on the other leg. The control is with the knee on the back of the neck. Now, that's not going to damage any severe arteries or anything like that that's going to kill somebody. That's why they do the maneuver. Like you said, you can look in the camera. The weight is on his other leg. It's not on the knee that's on the neck. That is trained on the department. It's going to come out in court. The defense is going to put that out there for the people to see. So just understand that this is going to be an adversity. And this is going to be another reason why they may not be able to convict him, given the fact that what he did wasn't necessarily malicious in nature, given the fact that it's trained on the police department.
Brandon, tell me about your book, Beaten Black and Blue. What are you talking about?
So pretty much, I wanted there to be a story, or at least a side of policing that people don't necessarily talk about. So the book is written a little bit of my story, how I grew up, how I became a police officer. And then also I wanted to touch on police brutality. I want to touch on defunding the police. What does that mean for police in America? I interviewed a couple of the police officers to get their take on what it means to be Black as a police officer in this climate of the wokeness and police brutality and police against the Black man. And so I decided to put a lot of that in a book because nobody else is going to write about it. At least they're not going to write about it in a genuine way. And so I think that that's the way that I felt was necessary to portray it. I talk about it in all of my content, but to have a tangible book where people can read, I thought would be the best solution. And I do offer solutions at the very end of the book. How do we fix these problems? How do we work together as police in the community?
Brandon, switching gears a little bit here, we have very odd priorities right now in this country. Obviously, I opened up the show talking about all the military craziness. We have now, majority of Americans, 37%, believe China is the 2021 greatest threat, which is obvious to everybody. Weren't they just selling us on Russia being the biggest threat for 4 years? What happened so fast?
Well, first of all, these people are liars. These people are evil. I consider some of these political pundits and people who are in political office, they are the devil of our days. They know better than what they're doing. They are just using political expediency to claim who's the bigger threat. Because Russia was conducive to make Trump look bad, they claim Russia is the biggest threat. Everybody with a brainstem know China is never our friend, never was our friend, never will be our friends. And now they want to make China out to be, the new biggest enemy because it's politically expedient. These people are evil. I don't listen to anything that any politician say. I rarely listen to things that Democrats ever say, and I don't listen to things that Republicans say either, because I feel like a majority of these people are clownish and they are not genuine genuinely working for the American people. Some of them are. There are people there that are working for the American people. There are people who stand up for what's right, who don't care about political correctness. But there's people on both sides. Don't get it twisted. There's people on both sides that when the rubber hit the road, they're gonna kowtow, they're gonna bow their head down and worship the Democrat God. That's exactly what's gonna happen. So I don't listen to these people. I do fact-based research on my own. I figure out what's the biggest threat to America based on what I know, and then I go from there.
Why does our side lack a spine? The Democrats don't lack a spine. Democrats are in your face, bold, constantly going right after what they believe. Our side is constantly head down. Oh, please don't hurt me. And I don't understand it. It drives me up the wall, man.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I thought conservatism was about people who have a backbone, people who are confident, and we lack a lot of confidence in the Republican Party. I mean, we are spending more time trying to kiss the rear end of Democrats and not try to upset any Democrat and worried about messaging. And we need to make sure our messaging is proper. It's the dumbest thing in the world. We need to start primarying these Republicans who are establishment Republicans who do nothing but sit and play these dirty games with the Democrats and make money at the end of the day while we sit and wonder what's going on. We need people in there that are going to be courageous, that are going to stand up for the American people, and that are not worried about what Democrats think about them. You vote based on what the people say. You make policies based on what the people say. You support Donald Trump if that's your priority, based on what the people want and what you know to be true, and not because you want to somehow appease to the Democrats. So I think that we have people in the Republican Party now who are showing an example of the way these things should be played out. And hopefully we can continue that trend of solid, strong, confident Republican politicians.
You feel like we're cleaning the bad out of the party? I understand there's always going to be a Mitt Romney hanging out there, but you feel like we're moving the way we should be as a party?
It's going slow, but I think we are moving in the right direction. You know, I forget some of these people's names, but there's some young people that are fiery. You know, there's young people that are standing firm on the Second Amendment. They're actually speaking out. You know, the young lady, and her name escapes me right now, and it's funny because I met her before she ever ran for office, but she is a terror in the Republican Party, according to the left. But she's just being the exact same person she was before she got into Congress. And those are the individuals that we need that are going to be radical. I don't mind, given what the Democrats do, I don't mind a Republican showing up to Congress with a mask on, calling out Joe Biden. They do it against Donald Trump. They've impeached Donald Trump for no reason. They should go to prison for that. But they don't mind going out and being radical and saying, these people are wrong. Then Republicans need to come out and say, you know, these Democrats are wrong. They're the enemy of the people.
Brandon Tatum. Read his book, everybody, Beaten Black and Blue. Thank you so much, Brandon. I appreciate you, man.
Thank you, brother.
We're still not done. You're going to want to see this. I know I don't talk about British royalty or Oprah very much on this show. As you can imagine, those aren't two things that are really high on my agenda list, but obviously, everybody found out that the royals sat down with Oprah, and Harry sat there with his ball and chain in his mouth, and his wife, Meghan Markle, who got the guy to run out on his own family, sat there and whined about how oppressed she is. And well, we all recoiled in horror when we saw the whole whiny victim fest between victim Oprah and victim royals. But there's this wonderful thing called the internet, where immature, hilarious people edit videos, and I'm not even sorry. They make me laugh.
Look lovely.
Thank you, so do you.
Before we get into it,
I don't even know why it's so funny, but it is. Whatever, I lack maturity. I'll see you tomorrow.